The best way to understand the slope process is to begin by taking a look at actual search results. So I'm going to do a search for electricity consulting. So to begin with, at the top of the page, we can see that there are sponsored results, basically ads. So you can see here that users are going to be presented with a series of ads. In this case, 3 to 4 ads typically will appear. Let's go ahead and hide that for the time being. Next, we get places. So in other words, these are typically driven by Google profiles. The intent that we can see here is that Google anticipates that if you're doing a search for electricity consulting, you might be looking for a local company to give you some advice. I want to call out one more thing that most users don't notice doing Google search results. Notice the tabs at the very top of the page. We have AI mode, all results, that's what we're looking at right now, images, videos, news, and so on. The order of these tabs matters. They actually change depending on the type of result. In a couple of minutes, I'm going to show you how they change. So right now, just keep that in mind. Let's scroll down some more. So beyond places, we have people also ask questions. These are questions that are asked quite often in search results, and they appear right here. So this is a great way to get an idea of the type of content you may want to generate or answer on your own pages. Below that, we get into the first citing of actual organic listings. Then below that, we have, once again, some sponsored ads. Generally here, this is pretty much the end of typical results. There's a few more companies, more organic listings, and so on and so forth. That takes us to the end of the page. Let's scroll back up to the top, and let's take a look at the images related to this as well. So when we click images for electricity consulting, we get a lot of electrical grid keywords, so on and so forth, and images that are pretty conducive or give you an idea of the type of business or the intent. Next, we have videos. The videos really also help to identify that whether there's an opportunity to get visibility through YouTube and how significant it is for users. So let's quickly recap. When we look at the entire results, when you're determining what kind of content strategy to develop for your website, it's really important to know what you're up against. So in a particular case here is that if you don't have good organic visibility, you may want to consider doing paid search ads. That if you don't, or if you're near the users, you want to definitely create a Google profile to rank for some of these search terms and make sure that you have full visibility here. And then for specific content ideas, people also ask, and then the organic listings. Let's look at one more scenario to see how search results change depending on the intent. So let's do a search now for energy broker. Now we can see that a search for energy broker actually triggers an AI overview. AI overviews were introduced about a year ago, and these are significant. They're quite often called the zero-click result. What the AI overviews do is that they aggregate a lot of existing information and attempt to answer the most common questions related to that topic. What Google's really trying to do is keep the user on this page without going to a website. Now, they do have domains that they link to. These are called citations, and these are really important to get visibility here, as it is often the only opportunity to get some clicks to your particular website. So appearing here is really the new strategy moving forward for 2026. And once we get beyond that, now we have sponsored ads. In a particular scenario here, if you're an energy broker and you don't appear in the AI overviews, in the short term, you could adopt a strategy of doing paid search. Beyond those results, we finally get into the actual organic results. So users have to scroll quite a ways down to actually get to your website, even if you're listing the top 5 results. On top of that, you can see that there's only 2 results organically, then it goes to things to know. And so we get more questions here. Then we get even more questions through people also ask. You want to be aware of all of these because it can guide your content strategy. All right, let's sum it up. Let's take a look at the whole page one more time. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit to give you an idea of how much information the user is faced before they actually get to search results, as this will guide ultimately what kind of content strategy to adopt. So we've got the AI overviews. I know it's going to get really small here, but just to get an idea of how far down the user has to scroll to get to an organic results. So AI overviews, ads, and finally we get here. When the content or links are this far down, the actual click-through rate declines. In fact, when AI overviews are present, the actual click-through rate declines significantly from typically 26% when you get the #1 position here to only 8% of the clicks. So it's important to know when AI overviews are present and whether or not you can actually get visibility here. Now with all that information, and hopefully you understand a little bit how the search landscape changes depending on the user intent, let's talk about how the slope process helps to fine-tune strategy and also to understand what kind of content and actual opportunities exist, and also to quantify those. Let's now take a look at search results through the lens of the slope process. What we've identified for this energy consulting company, that the slope probability equation identifies that they have the potential to attract anywhere between 1,500 to 4,200 clicks per month, in addition to their current traffic. The value of that traffic, which is a measure of the CPC cost multiplied by the estimated traffic gains, is right here. So in total, by optimizing their website, they can add about $20,000 to their organic visibility. In other words, if they had to pay for the same amount of traffic using traditional paid search, it would cost them $20,000 a month more. So it gives you a CPC boost. As you may recall that we looked at some results may show videos, for example. When we see these, we segment these out to identify that they may be video opportunities. YouTube is the world's second largest search engine, and quite often the organic traffic opportunities are overshadowed by the actual number of visitors you could attract by creating a video. So it's important to know when you should be creating video content rather than just a text article. We talked about people also ask questions. You can see a sampling of these here as well. This helps with content ideation and also where you should position that type of content. So depending if it's a short, brief answer, you could create FAQ content, add it to your pages, create full-length blogs if it's very in-depth, as again, create videos preferred for particular content updates. So this helps to decide your content strategy. By the way, these FAQs can also be seed questions in Google Profiles to enhance your visibility there as well. It's also really great, helpful content for users instead of just giving it up for AI overviews. So these are great plays across the board. So discussions. Discussions are a really important part of the new search landscape. For example, we now know that Perplexity gets 47.5% of its information from Reddit. So it's really important to adopt a Reddit strategy when you see it appearing as part of the discussions. In other words, is that you want to join this particular social group. Reddit is really actually both a social media platform as well as a search engine. A lot of users are going to look for information about companies and services directly on Reddit. Our slope process is great at identifying organic opportunities. As we saw for this particular client, we could help them attract between 1,500 to 4,200 more visitors per month. Conversely, it also means that we know and understand which keywords they cannot rank for organically, or in other words, that they won't rank for in the top 10 and won't get good visibility. With those, we put those aside and save them and use them for a paid search strategy to support the organic visibility. Further, we'll identify specific opportunities. For this one here, for example, we can see that there's a particular website, energyprocurement.energy, that actually has awards and ad opportunities on top of paid support. So it's not necessarily that you always have to do paid search through Google, but sometimes you want to look for affiliate links or other opportunities within that. We can also identify specific keywords that will trigger local map packs. In other words, there's a secondary opportunity to create local ads to get visibility for people looking for energy brokers near me, for example. In summary, the slope process really helps identify what's next and what type of strategy should you be adopting to attract more visitors to your business. So it helps to decide, for example, which pages and content need to be updated or created, whether that content should be text, video format, animations, infographics, things like that. And then with that, you can then assign that information to your writers, eventually approve and publish that content. And bottom line is, you also don't forget to promote content. YouTube videos, for example, can rank organically by increase the number of views and watch time. The best way to increase that is simply by promoting those for a short period of time. Analyze results every 30 days and adjust your strategy and messaging as needed, and keep refreshing that content with new material periodically. If you like what you've heard, click the like button and be sure to subscribe and enable notifications. Let me know in the comments what your current search challenges are. If you'd like to understand what your organic visibility potential is, let us know. We offer a complimentary slope discovery, which will help you identify and quantify your specific opportunities for your business. For now, take care, and thanks for watching.